Hello and welcome to Narayana IAS Academy. As part of our daily news analysis, today we are going to discuss four most important articles from The Hindu and Indian Express. We are going to discuss them in detail, comprehensively, and all these articles are very relevant for your examination. Now, before we start, I have a quote for you. If you want to see results, look at the things you're doing right now. Even in philosophical terms or in religious texts, it is being said that you can decide your bhagya or your future, and that completely depends on the karma or the actions that you are taking today. So your actions, whatever you're doing right now, that is going to decide whether what kind of results you're going to get. With this, if we move ahead, if you go for the Narayana IAS Academy application, there you will find this 110 days self-study planner for the upcoming prelims examination. Although less than 110 days are remaining, so the plan is here. You can study, you can prepare on your own with this plan. So you can go for this. Then apart from this, 1 year and 2 year courses with Narayana IAS Academy are open. If you're preparing for 2026 examination, then you can go for this 1 year course. And if you're preparing for 2027, then you can go for this 2 year prelims cum mains integrated course. The details of this course are given over here. For example, 800 plus hours of general studies and CSAT lectures, 200 hours of current affairs classes, strategic micro schedule that will be provided to you, testing mechanisms, prelims test, mains tests, all the evaluation, etc. Everything will be provided to you. You can reach out to the website also for more details. Now, as part of our daily news analysis, now I have picked up these four articles. The first article, which is from The Hindu, page number 8, it talks about over-centralization in the health policy. Now, this issue has arisen because of a Supreme Court judgment. So, we'll discuss what kind of problem we are facing, especially with respect to the medical governance, medical education in India. The second article, this one is related to the reciprocal tariffs which are being imposed by United States of America on India as well as other countries. Now we are interested in our country, that if USA is imposing some additional reciprocal tariffs. Now this is something the US President Donald Trump had said many a times that he's going to impose this on many countries, and this will have some implications on India's economy. So we'll understand that part over here. Then the third article, Warriors of Hope. This is from the editorial section. This article specifically talks about ASHA workers, and ASHA workers are very important. So we'll understand who are they. Are they same as the Anganwadi workers or the different one? And under which program these ASHA workers are working. Okay. Then the fourth article is related to the misuse of afforestation fund, or there's a fund called Campa fund, and that fund is being misused or has been misused by the forest authorities in Uttarakhand, and this is being now reviewed by Supreme Court. So we'll understand this issue. This can be one of the case study for your ethics. Now let's start with the first article of the day, that is related to over centralization threatening the health policy in India. Now this article is important for GS paper 2, which deals with the functions and responsibilities of union as well as state government. Now here we see some conflict between central government and state government, and some kind of centralization which is taking place in this segment of health. So that's why this topic becomes important. You can read this previous year question asked in the year 2015. Public health system has limitation in providing universal health coverage. Do you think that private sector can help in bridging this gap? What other viable alternatives do you suggest? Now this question which has been asked, although it seems like a static subject, a very broad question which has been asked, but this question is derived from the current affairs, wherein there was a discussion going on with respect to universal health coverage. So similarly, when we are discussing such articles, you can see the relevance in the upcoming mains examination. Okay. So what's exactly happening? So there is a case which is going on in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has given its ruling. The name of that case is Dr. Tarun Bedi versus Shrey Goyal. So in this recent ruling, what Supreme Court did, it has struck down or cancelled out the domicile based PG medical reservations. So you see, we have, let's say, MBBS. It's a graduate program or UG program. After that, the doctors go for PG, that is postgraduate program. Now there we have some domicile based reservations. So let's say you're coming from Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu state government must have some kind of a reservation when it comes to these PG admissions in the colleges who are providing this postgraduate program in this medical education. So there are some reservations for the students who are coming from Tamil Nadu. But here, what Supreme Court has done, they have stuck down this. They are saying that this domicile based reservation is not correct. We are cancelling it out. Why? Because we want to give importance to the meritocracy. Merit is important, and the competition should take place at the all India level. When you give some kind of reservation on domicile basis just because you belong to a particular state, that's why you're getting additional reservation. This principle goes against meritocracy. Considering this angle, it has been stuck down. Okay. Now, because of this, we see a new debate, or rather an old debate which is getting reignited. And that debate is about the over centralization that is taking place. And right now, we are discussing this over centralization taking place in medical education. So what do we mean by over centralization? See, we have a federal form of government. We have a central government, then we have a state government, and then we have Panchayati Raj and local self-government institutions. But these local self-government institutions are not that powerful. If we just look at the central government and the state government, which were formed when we got independence, when we got our constitution. So we have two separate governing institutions at two different levels, and the power is distributed among these two. Some power is there with the central government, some power is there with the state government, and they are getting this power from the constitution itself. So when such a mechanism, such a governing mechanism is established where power is distributed among different layers or tiers of governance, that system is called as a federal system, which is there in India. Now, in this federal system, if let's say state governments have more power, then that system is different. We don't call it centralizing, rather we call it decentralizing. At the center, there is less power. At the state level, there is more power. Then it's a decentralized system. But if the power is more with the center and less with the states, then it is a kind of centralized system. Now, in case of this medical education, it is being said that over centralization is taking place. Although centralization is there, now this is happening more. The frequency, the intensity, or what we can say is the centralization is getting more over beyond its authentic limits. So, authentic, or rather, we can say authorized limits, we can say. Now, this debate is going on. First of all, we need to know what is the role of central government and state government with respect to the healthcare part. And then obviously, if there is some role in the healthcare, then there will be some role in the medical education, because you can't segregate healthcare facilities and medical education. Both are related. Now, if we go through the constitution, we have fundamental rights, and in that we have Article 21. Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty, and Supreme Court, with its interpretation, has said that right to life constitutes right to health also. So when you say that citizens of India have right to life, that means they have right to health, and providing that health, good health, or the facilities for good health, that is the responsibility of state. And when I'm saying state, it includes central government as well as state government, right? So Article 21 clearly shows responsibility of both center and state. Then we have Article 41 and 47. if you read both of these articles combined, we come to the conclusion that there is responsibility of governments to provide public health. So it is state government as well as central government who will have to provide this. But when we read 7th schedule of the constitution, we have three lists: union list, state list, concurrent list. And here we see that public health, hospitals, sanitation, all these are included in the state list. That means it is the state government, state legislature, they have power to work on these aspects. And we have medical education, drug regulation, etc. provided in the concurrent list. Concurrent list means the power will be there with the state government as well as central government. Both can make laws, both can implement laws, both will be working on these aspects. So both have power. Now, we are specifically dealing with medical education, obviously, but here you can see there is responsibility given to both center and state with respect to healthcare. Now, what all role will be coming up into picture? Let's say if we are talking about the state governments, what all they will be doing? They'll be managing hospitals and all other healthcare facilities. Then they'll be recruiting or retaining the medical staff. For that, let's say they have to make any policy, they can make that. Then implementation of public health program, any kind of new program if government is bringing, that will be implemented at local level by the state government, right? So these are this kind of a role state government is playing. Then what is central government doing? Well, central government can come up with national health policies. So at national level, a uniform policy can be brought by central government. For example, we have this national health policy of 2017. Then central government also runs its institutions or funds its institutions at national level. Let's say AIMS, PGIMER, GIPMER, etc. Then they regulate the medical education through this medical council, and also they fund the state health programs. So if state governments are coming up with their own health programs, public health programs, central government can provide additional funding to them so that they can work better. So through all this we can see the role of center and state in the healthcare segment. This is clear. Now we are saying, we are observing some shift in the structure, shift in the functioning, wherein we are observing increasing centralization in the medical education. Now, how are we observing this? So, we saw that there was a reform or there was pressure built up on state governments to go for the NEET examination instead of their own state level examination. So, those students who want to become doctors or they want to go for the undergraduate programs to become doctors, they're going for this national eligibility come entrance test, and this test has replaced the state level test. So earlier state had their own test mechanism, and here there is one argument or one criticism of NEET examination, that it disadvantages the students who are coming from rural background or the students who belong to the state board. So those who have done their education or schooling from state board, they are at a disadvantaged position when it comes to NEET examination. And when you replace it with the state exam, this itself shows that centralization is taking place. Then apart from that, this National Medical Commission Act of 2019, this was brought in, this commission was brought in, and through this commission, central government's control got increased. It could now regulate these institutions better, and there was some role of privatization in this medical education. Then third, centralized PG medical seat allocation. See, earlier what used to happen, state government had this authority to have their reservation or the students on whom they are putting money for the PG education, PG medical education. So they could go for some state level quotas. Now, right now what we have is one all India quota. 50% of the seats they go for all India quota. So let's say for PG admissions, a NEET will take place. So just like NEET at 12th, similarly a NEET will take place after the UG completion at that time. So through this NEET examination, 50% of the seats, the government seats, they'll go for this all India quota. And here when you are providing these seats to the all India quota, somewhere you are reducing the autonomy of the state government. Okay, and then the Supreme Court ruling, the recent ruling, this is further adding in the same segment. Then government, what government is doing, central government, they are expanding AIMS and all those centrally regulated institutions. When you're expanding these, you're putting your funds, your money in expanding institutions of national level. So what is happening? If you could have taken the same money and given it to the state governments, they would have done better in the healthcare programs, in implementation of healthcare programs. But that money is going to these institutions. So again, central level institutions are becoming stronger. Okay, so this is how we observe this centralization taking place. Now there is an argument, especially in this article which is given in the Hindu. The writer is arguing that there is a need of state control rather than central control. Why? First of all, the argument of workforce retention. See, there was this domicile quota. If you look at Maharashtra, if you look at Tamil Nadu, they have very strong policies. The strong policies many times have some clauses which say that government is funding your fees for your postgraduate program, but governments in return, they expect that the candidate who has done this post graduation has become expert in this particular field of medical education, higher education. That person should not go to other state, he should stay in this state. They expect this thing. They should become the part of this workforce after completing education, or that person should have spent some time in the rural parts of that state. Why? Because in rural part we don't see much infrastructure, we don't see doctors staying in rural parts. Doctors usually prefer to go for the urban areas. They have career growth over there, they have a good lifestyle over there. In rural areas they are not getting, so they don't want to go there. But many state governments, they are having some programs wherein they say that if you are taking admissions from state quotas, wherein government of that state is paying for your seat, for paying for your admission, then it is expected that you have to spend few years in the rural parts of that state. You have to serve there. But when you remove such things, this angle is somewhere being rejected. Then overall, this healthcare gap which is there, which I have already discussed, that in rural areas we have less doctors available, less specialists available, so there will be a shortage. And what about return on investment? When state government is putting so much money, so much investment they are doing on these people, wouldn't they expect some return on their investment? They want that people should stay there and work for this state, right? Now, there are some challenges when you are going for this over centralization. First challenge would be the planning of this medical workforce. See, what will happen if there won't be any domicile based reservation? What will happen? The student will become a doctor, he will get into PG admission, he will take the PG admission, complete it. After that, he will go for a state where he's getting more payment. He'll not remain in this state. The state who has paid for him, he'll not remain there. So overall, when state governments are planning their specialists, planning their healthcare programs, they want to retain some people. They want to retain these specialists. So when you say that state governments cannot come up with any such program, there can't be any domicile based reservation as such, and central government will decide everything, or centrally things will be decided, then states start losing their control over this planning part when it comes to workforce. This is first thing. Second, there will be impact on public health. As we said, the rural parts or underserved parts of India, those are going to suffer, especially those states. If you see overall India, You don't see that all states are at same stage or same, they are developed in the same pace. No. When you look at the medical education, when you look at the medical facilities, some areas like the western part of India or southern part of India, they are doing better. If you look at the eastern part, they are not doing that better. If you go to Bihar, you would not find enough facilities when it comes to healthcare infrastructure. You won't find enough number of specialists or doctors required. So this shortage, especially in the underserved region, and this regional disparity, this is somewhere getting disregarded when you are saying suddenly that for the sake of meritocracy, we need that national level program should continue. There should not be any reservation as such. Then this erodes federalism. See, when such things will happen, there will be a tussle, there will be some fight between center and the state, because states public health is part of their working. State government is putting lot of investment, lot of their efforts, they are investing a lot on these people, they expect it back. And now when central level policies, central level examination, those are taking the control, this will lead to the conflict between center and the state. So this centralization is sidelining state governments, and that's why this is going to erode our federal principle or federalism. Now we have to compare things with other countries. What is happening in other countries? So if we look at USA, Germany and Canada, we have observed that when it comes to public health or this medical education, these countries have given power to their state governments. So you see USA, the states regulate medical education and licensure independently. If you look at Germany, regional councils allocate medical professionals. If you see Canada, the provinces manage workforce planning with local policies. So all these examples clearly shows that the global trend also supports this idea wherein there should be decentralization when it comes to medical education and healthcare policies rather than centralization. Okay, so somewhere India's policy is contradicting the global best practices. So as a way forward, what we can do, first of all, we can again review this domicile based reservation policy, and here we can think about this service obligation. There's nothing wrong in this service obligation part, wherein I said that if you have taken the seat from the government quota, then you should serve for that state government. You should serve in the rural parts or backward regions for some period, whatever that period is, that would be mentioned in the laws, 1 year, 2 year or whatever. So there's nothing wrong in this service obligation part. And when we are comparing this meritocracy with this reservation, we should consider this angle. We should certainly consider that. Second, we have to strengthen the state autonomy when it comes to medical education, considering the global best practices. Third, national health workforce policy. See, at national level, we can come up with this workforce policy, and this policy should balance merit as well as regional need. Please understand what is the regional need, only that region will know, that state government will know. So, whenever we are making this national level policy, you have to balance merit as well as this regional need part. Then, judiciary will also have to play a key role, because recently this or whatever is happening there, we see the role of judiciary has given this judgment. So we expect from judiciary to show some prudence whenever you're taking any giving any judgment in the policy matters, especially this public health part. You have to consider the harsh reality wherein the rural parts of India or the backward part of India, they are not having the basic infrastructure, they do not have the access to these health professionals. So this angle should be considered instead of just considering the merit part. This is something we can say when it comes to way forward. And at last, cooperative federalism in health policy is very important. So the federalism which is there, there should be cooperation among center and state. Both should come together. They should work hand in hand and go ahead with the health policy. So this is how we have concluded entire topic of this national health policy, or we can say the medical education, health education in India. Okay. Now, the second article, very interesting article related to US President Donald Trump. Now see, in this article, we need to know what do we mean by this reciprocal tariff. Okay, this topic could be important for prelims as well as mains. Prelims, current events of national and international events, whatever they are taking place, whatever is important on international scale, that is important. For mains, GS paper 3, Indian economy, GS paper 2, international relations, this topic becomes important. Okay. Now, I request all of you to please read this previous year question asked in the year 2020 just to get an idea of what kind of question UPSC asks with respect to international relations and the economy part. Okay, please read. I hope the screen is visible. Done? So the question specifically is taking into consideration India-Sri Lanka relations. Then they are taking this textile articles. Then they are talking about Nepal. And overall, the angle of trade is being considered over here. And now the article which we are going to discuss, there also we are talking about a country, that is United States, and trade angle is being considered. So I hope you understand the importance of this article. Now see, US President Donald Trump, he has announced that from April 2nd, 2025, United States of America is going to impose a reciprocal tariff on India as well as some other countries. So first of all, what do we mean by reciprocal tariff? And is it going to affect India? Certainly it is going to affect. So first we should know what do we mean by tariff. So tariff is nothing but a tax but of a special kind. When you are importing something from other country or you are exporting something to other country, let's say we are buying mangoes from America, let's say just for the sake of example, or USA is buying mangoes from us. At that time we can impose some tax. That tax will be called as tariff. Now why would a government of any country put such a tax? Well, the reason could be anything. One of the reason could be to protect your own industries. Let's say USA is coming up with its Harley Davidson bike, and that bike is coming in Indian market. Now we know that in Indian market we have other companies, let's say Indian companies, who are already competing with each other. And if Harley Davidson comes up, it has got good technology, it has got good structure, good or we can say the engine is very good, it's very famous, and the cost of Harley Davidson and an Indian company bike is, let's say, same or similar. So Indian people will buy Harley Davidson more. Because of this, the Indian industry will suffer, and this will not be good for the Indian economy. So what government will do? They'll put some extra tax on this Harley Davidson, and this we call as tariff. Okay, so one of the reason could be to protect our own industries, or the other reason could be to generate some extra revenue. Let's say anyway these companies are going to come here, sell us something, let's earn some extra money. This could be one of the objective. Or countering unfair trade, this could also be one of the reason, and this is being argued by Donald Trump. He's saying that when it comes to India and US trade, when it comes to US and China trade, the trade is very much unfair. Let's say we take anyone, let's say any electronic product. Okay, electronic product. When India is exporting any electronic product to America, and let's say they are putting 2% of tax, 2% of tariff. When India is exporting to USA, that means India is earning money. When USA is exporting similar kind of a thing to India, India is putting, let's say, 12% tax. Now, do you see the difference? Yes. So Trump is saying we don't like this difference. This is an unfair trade. It should be fair. So because of this also they can impose this kind of a tariff. So tariff you understand. Now specifically the name we are using is reciprocal tariff which Trump is imposing. So this tariff could be of multiple types. When you are importing something and there is a tariff, that's an import tariff. While exporting, if it is applied, then it's export tariff. Then there is reciprocal tariff. I'll discuss that. Before that, look at the other types like this revenue tariff, just to earn some money. If government is putting tariff, that's revenue tariff. Then protective, to protect our domestic industries. If this tax has been put on, then it's a protective tariff. Then let's say if there is a country who is dumping its product, then in that case, let's say China, what they do many a times, they are dumping their products in India. Dumping means if a product costs 5 rupees in China and they're selling that in India in 2 rupees. So that is kind of a dumping. No Indian company can make that product in 2 rupees. So this is dumping. So anti-dumping duty can be there. Then there is countervailing duty. Sometimes government of India gives extra subsidy to its industries. Now because of this subsidy, what will happen? The product the companies are making, that will cost less because of that subsidy. Now, what Americans will say, you are giving this subsidy because of which are the producers in America, when they are producing something that costs $2, when your people are making something, it's cost $1. Why? Because you are giving this kind of subsidy. So, if there is a subsidy, then to cancel it out, you can come up with a countervailing duty. Okay. And at last, the one which I want to discuss is the reciprocal tax. What is reciprocal tax? If in case for the same product, India is imposing 2% tax, America is imposing 10% tax, then India will say this is not matching. To match it, either you reduce it to 2% or I'll increase it to 10%. So, to match the import duties of the trading partner, whatever tax you add, whatever tax you put on, that is called reciprocal tax. I'm doing the reciprocal thing. So, to show you with example, look at this thing. If we take this agricultural, meat and processed food part, this is one of the sector. You see, when India is putting tariff on US products, let's say USA is coming up with its processed food and they are exporting it to India. So in Indian market, these products are coming. India is putting 37% tax. Okay, India is putting 37% tax. Now, same kind of products from the same category, going from India to America. What Americans are doing, they are putting 5% tax. Now, do you see the difference? They are putting 5% tax, we are putting 37% tax. Now what Trump will say? We will go for reciprocal tariff. So what they will do? They'll make this 5% as 37.66%. That is exactly equal to what we are putting. So reciprocal tax or reciprocal tariff. So the difference is somewhere around 32%. So if you see, these are the sectors which will be impacted because of this policy of Donald Trump or US government. So automobile sector, diamond and gold products, chemicals and pharma, electrical, electronic products. And you see the difference in this tariffs. This is true that we are putting more tax, right? So 32%, 23, 13%, 8%, 7%. All these sectors will be hit because of this policy. And it's not like only on India such kind of reciprocal tariff is being imposed. There are other countries too. For example, China, Mexico, Canada, even on European Union, Trump will be going ahead with such tariffs. Okay. Now we should have a brief idea about the India US trade relations. Although India US relations as a main topic highly important, and we have discussed that part earlier too. Now just focus on the trade angle. Is USA very important for us in economic or trade aspect? Very, very important. See, India's total export to USA is somewhere around $52.9 billion. And what about USA? For USA, how much India is important? Well, India is importing $29.6 billion stuff from USA. So this is very clear that we are exporting more, importing less. So that means India is earning a lot from USA or USA's market. Okay, so you can see over here the top imports from USA. It includes mineral fuel and oil, precious stones and metals, nuclear reactors and boilers. You should have brief idea about these things. What are we exporting to USA? The top items would include electrical machinery, precious stones and metals, pharmaceutical products. Okay, so these trade numbers you should remember. This is very good data to even quote in the answers in the mains. Okay, so imbalance, because of this imbalance, Trump administration is coming up with such policies. They want that there should be some balance over here. Okay, now let's move ahead with third article of the day, which is related to ASHA workers. So this topic is important for prelims as well as mains GS paper 2 governance. Now I request you to please read the previous year question asked over here, which is somewhere related to the ASHA workers. Please read the question. Done. So from this question you get an idea that earlier there were questions asked on the same topic or same stuff, and this National Rural Health Mission. So you can understand this mission is important. ASHA workers, they are important. Now see, when we say ASHA, the long form is Accredited Social Health Activists. The context is that these ASHA workers, they are facing numerous challenges in India, and obviously these are in India only. So they are facing a lot of challenges. So first of all, we should know what these ASHA workers do. Who are they? So they're community-based health facilitators. So what happened? Government thought that we need some people at local level. Let's say you go to a rural part of India, any village. In that village, for providing basic health related facilities, we need some people, and we do not have enough infrastructure. We don't have enough educated people as such. So whoever we can get, even if they are educated, let's say till 10th standard or even less, let's say, we need such people, and people who can ensure that there is some bridging. So we have health infrastructure or health department of government, and we have the people at grassroots level. So in between these two, as a bridge, if some people can act, we needed that. So under the National Rural Health Mission in the year 2005-2006, these ASHA workers, this kind of a position was established. They are nothing but some volunteers. They are not having any government job as such. They are volunteers. They get paid for whatever they are doing. Some amount will be paid to them, and they are supposed to play some role in raising health awareness. Now this was brought under this National Rural Health Mission. Later on, it was expanded to urban areas also under this National Urban Health Mission. So right now we have ASHA workers working in rural as well as urban India. And after expanding to urban area, now we see that this is the largest global community health program which ensures some public participation over here. Now, what is the role of these ASHA workers? They are doing multiple things. Let's say maternal and child health related thing, then family planning part, any disease control part. If you're going ahead with vaccination program, let's say polio vaccination or the COVID vaccination, you would see in the rural parts of India at the local level, these ASHA workers, they will be going ahead with that vaccination program, obviously under the guidance of doctors or the health department. Right now, they serve 1,000 people in rural area and 2,000 people in urban area. One person will be serving these many numbers. And when it comes to some hilly or tribal or desert areas, one ASHA worker per habitation is provided. So this is how we have built a complete network of ASHA workers. Now, how are these ASHA workers selected? Who are they specifically? First of all, they are women. So no male candidate you will get over here. They are women in the age bracket of 25 to 45. Now these women could be married women or divorced women or widows, anything. And they are resident of that particular village. Wherever they will be working, they will be resident of that village. Now government prefers if they are relatively much more educated. Let's say government prefers that if they have done 10th class education at least, they prefer that. But sometimes government does not get people who have even this much qualification. So there, these kind of clauses will be relaxed by government. Then they are considered to be honorary or volunteers. So they are not doing this as a job. It is expected that they are volunteers, although government pays them some amount, but it's not a government job. They are not government employees. Now see the difference between ASHA workers and Anganwadi workers. ASHA workers, they are part of this National Rural Health Mission initiated in 2005, whereas Anganwadi workers, they are part of Integrated Child Development Services Scheme brought in the year 1975. Then ASHA workers, they act as a link between community and public health system. So government brought this public health system and we have the community over here. And there will be a bridge. There will be one person, ASHA worker, who will bridge them, who will act as the communicator between these two. And they will be facilitating access to healthcare services. Whereas you see the role of Anganwadi workers, they focus on nutritional status, health of the children under 6, pregnant women, lactating mothers. So overall you see early childhood development, mothers, everything. That part will be considered, or that part will be important for Anganwadi workers. Now, although these two segments are different, at many times we have observed that at some level or at some regional levels or in some states, you will observe same person working as Anganwadi worker as well as ASHA worker. That is also possible. Okay. Now we said these ASHA workers are facing numerous challenges. That was the main context of the article. What kind of challenges? First of all, the payment that they get is very less. They get somewhere in the range of 5,000 to 15,000, and this amount is very less considering the workload they have. They're working day and night, they are having a lot of workload, they have to travel a lot, there will be long hours, multiple responsibilities. Considering that, the pay is very low and this heavy workload they carry, this is something we have to think about. Then because of this workload, these ASHA workers, they are not giving much importance to their own health, so they are suffering. And most importantly, whatever task they are doing, at last they do not have any job security or the job benefit or perks which any government employee gets. For example, in formal sector or in government sector, people are getting some sick leaves, some casual leaves, some insurance, some kind of benefit, and their job is very secure. In case of ASHA workers, it is not the case. So all these are the challenges these ASHA workers are facing. Okay, I hope you understood. Okay, now the time for the last article, and this last article is related to Uttarakhand forest officials who are misusing the funds they were given. Those funds are called as CAMPA funds. So let's say this CAMPA fund will be important. This CAMPA as an authority will be important for us for preliminary examination. For mains, You can study this for GS paper 3 considering the environmental angle over here, afforestation. You can also study this from ethics angle. This could be a very good case study. Even in the mains examination, a direct case study can be asked with respect to a similar kind of situation which is taking place over here. Okay. So please read this previous year question asked in the year 2012. Please read. I'll give you 5 seconds to read it. Done. So this question specifically focuses on constitutionalization of environmental problems. If you observe, every year you will find similar kind of question or question on the same theme which is related to the environmental problems, and this will be asked in the GS paper too. So this happens. You have to prepare for such mains questions. Now what's happening? Recently, Supreme Court has intervened. It has called the Chief Secretary of Uttarakhand government. Why? Because some kind of reports came into picture. There was a report from CAG, there were some reports from media, and those reports said that the forest officials in Uttarakhand, they are misusing the money that is there with them through this Campa fund. So there is a Campa fund under which there is some money over there, and these forest official, they are taking this money, they're not using it for the cause it was supposed to use. Rather, they are buying iPhones, they are buying stuffs for themselves, they're re-innovating their offices, and this was not supposed to be done. So they are misusing this fund, or they have already misused it. This is the allegation, because of which Supreme Court has called this chief secretary. Now first of all, we should know what is this Campa, what is this Campa fund. You see, whenever there is a company who wants to set up its business at a particular location, and let's say at that location there is a forest. Now to set up that business or anything, they have to cut the forest. Now in that case, the laws in India, especially there is a law of 1986 which clearly says that if you are doing this thing, so what you will do is, let's say you saw this 1 acre land, and from this 1 acre land you have removed all the forest, you have cut down all the trees and set up your business. So obviously these business setups are required for our development purpose, for the growth purpose. So what is the responsibility of that company? First of all, that company will ensure that exactly similar amount of land, so they will buy some other land of same size, let's say the 1 acre land, and they will grow forest over there. So it's a barren land or a land which is not having any forest. They are going to grow an entire forest over there, and this process is called afforestation. Okay, generating forest at a new location where there was no forest, that is afforestation. This they are going to do. This is their responsibility to do under the law. And second thing what they are supposed to do is they have to pay some extra fees to the government under a fund called Campa Fund. Now, why are they paying this fees? The reason is, even if you are going for afforestation for the similar amount of land at a different location, but listen to this thing. Today you have cut the trees and this entire forest. Even if you are generating or growing a new forest, it will take some time. To grow to this level, it might take next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. After 15 years, it will be the same forest which this one is. This one was, let's say. But what about the loss we had for those 10 years, 15 years? For those 10 years, this forest would have provided us a lot of oxygen. It would have provided many things like say, where is it mentioned? Wildlife conservation, soil protection. So because of forest, we see that soil gets protected. Wildlife gets conserved. When you remove the trees, when you cut down the trees, where would this wildlife go? Okay, so considering this, we are saying that you have to provide an extra fees, and this fees will go to a fund which will be known as Campa Fund. Okay, CAMPA, or we call it CAF fund. Now, this fund will be managed by an authority under the Government of India, and that authority is Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. So in short, this is CAMPA. It's their job is managing the funds for compensatory afforestation and ecological restoration. What they will do, they might go for some more afforestation. They might use the same amount of money to manage all the forest in India to restore the ecological balance. Whatever efforts are needed, they'll do that. But whatever money is there with this fund, this amount is not supposed to be spent on administrative stuff. It is not supposed to be spent on administrative or unrelated expenses. And this is what is happening right now, because these Uttarakhand officials, they have spent it on unrelated activities as well as administrative activities instead of putting this money for the real cause. This is the real allegation. Okay. Now, if you see the legal framework, the CAF Act of 2016, it has established national as well as state level CAMPA funds. Okay. Now, from these funds, 90% amount goes to states, 10% goes to center. And because states are having more control over here, whenever they are utilizing these funds, they have to take approval from center and they have to submit this annual plan for fund utilization to the central government. Okay. I hope you understand why Supreme Court has got into this matter and asked Chief Secretary to give its report and information to the Supreme Court. So, if we read the CAG report in this year 2019 to 22, they found out that the forest department officials, they are spending this money on iPhones, laptops, refrigerators, coolers, office renovation, office legal fees, etc., etc. And in 2019 to 21, this department of the state government was supposed to put some amount of money in this fund as interest payment. That was somewhere around 275 crore. And till now, they haven't deposited that amount of money. So this overall scenario shows us that the money is getting misused. The officials are misusing their authority over here. This is a clear case of corruption, and this can be a good example to quote in the ethics answers. Okay. Now, the time for our practice questions. Let's start with the mains practice question. You can read this question. I'll give you a few seconds. Again, read it. If you can answer, at least if you can think about the dimensions, what can be put in the answer. So, over-centralization in medical education governance weakens federalism and healthcare equity in India. Discussed in the context of Supreme Court's ruling in Tarun Bedi versus Shrey Goyal suggest a balanced approach. A decent question. You can start the answer for this question by showing us that there is some kind of over-centralization which is taking place. So you can define, or rather you can showcase with examples, or you can talk about the context that Supreme Court has recently come up with this ruling, Tarun Bedi versus Shrey Goyal. That you can mention and introduce it. After that, in the body part, directly talk about the impact of over-centralization on federalism and healthcare. So everything you can talk about, that states are losing their autonomy, there is some issue with the healthcare access, especially in rural areas, etc. Then you can talk about judicial precedents, you can mention some cases also, you can talk about this need also, you can talk about this PG seat allocation also. And then you have to provide a solution or a balanced approach. So whatever way forward we discussed, that you can put over here. And you can give a balanced conclusion that somewhere we have to come up with cooperative federalism in this aspect. Okay. So this can be done. Now, the questions which were part of your daily news analysis of yesterday's session, I'll give you the answers for these. This is about mortality indicators in India. So maternal mortality rate refers to number of maternal deaths occurring within this. Okay, infant mortality rate. Okay. Now I'll say that you can pause the video and please read the question. After that, I'll tell you the answer. Please read. And those who want to attempt the question directly, You can go through the description or the comment box, there you'll find the link. Directly you can reach out to the website wherein you can attempt these questions. Okay. Now answer would be simply, you see, they have changed numbers. This 1000 live births should be with infant mortality rate, and this 1 lakh number should be there with maternal mortality rate. So these numbers are exchanged over here. So both the statements are wrong. Only the third statement, this one would be right. So C will be the answer. Okay. Then Wallace line, very easy question. It's a biogeographical boundary separating the distinct species of Asia and Australia. Okay, very easy. Then this question is about NBFC. Very easy question. Please pause the video and answer it. Okay, I assume you have. So NBFCs can accept demand deposit like bank? No, they can't. That's why they are NBFCs. NBFC provide credit to MSME and rural borrowers, helping in financial inclusion? Yes. NBFC have direct access to liquidity support from Reserve Bank? No, they don't have. NBFC play a significant role in funding infrastructure projects? Yes. So 2 and 4, that is B, will be the right answer. Then India-US trade. Now this question is from today's DNA. So I expect you people to attempt these questions. So please attempt these questions. First one is related to India-US trade relations. US is India's second largest export destination after China. India exports more to the US than it imports from US. Total trade volume between India and US is lower than with EU, and trade disputes between India and US have been resolved with the signing of a free trade agreement. So you will have the link, you can directly attempt, as I said, or we'll get the answers tomorrow. Okay. Then the second question related to ASHA workers. ASHAs were launched as part of National Urban Health Mission in 2013. They are primarily involved in providing tertiary medical care to rural population, and ASHA acts as a link between community and public health system, promoting health awareness and facilitating access to healthcare services. This is a very easy and very conceptual kind of a question. Very easy, you can attempt. Okay. Last question, Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority, that is CAMPA. It was established to manage funds collected for compensatory afforestation and ecological restoration. Under this Fund Act 2016, 100% of the collected fund remains with National CAMPA for nationwide afforestation project. The funds collected under CAMPA can be used for administrative expenses and office infrastructure development. Okay, again very easy if you have gone through the lecture. Okay, so please attempt these questions. We'll get the answers tomorrow. Till that time, thank you so much for joining. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much.